So how do I get her to go from this
As if.
to this?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
How do you get your wife to go overlanding with you? That's a question I've been asked a few times. Cliff Notes version, make her comfortable. That's it, the end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. For real though, we all have bare minimum limits when it comes to comfort.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
I don't think anybody goes overlanding, camping, van lifing, or whatever, and says to themselves, how do I make myself horribly uncomfortable during this upcoming trip? I mean, I want to be really, really miserable this time. Some people enjoy roughing it, but I don't think most of us do. And you might want to call it truck glamping or whatever, but I say enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. And if we're talking about overlanding out in the backcountry, there are no amenities unless you provide them yourself.
So uncivilized.
And we're going to talk about some things that'll cost you some money today, but we'll also talk about a few things that'll cost you nothing at all. So be sure to stick around for that. I should also mention that if you need help getting started overlanding, watch these two videos up here. There's a specific reason or multiple reasons why she didn't want to go overlanding with you. Maybe you've asked her why, and maybe you haven't. But either way, let's take a look at what I've found to be some of the most common reasons. Fortunately for me, my wife wanted to try overlanding, and her first experience wasn't perfect by any means, but it was decent enough that she wanted to go again. And each time we go out, we make small improvements to our setup so that we can get dialed in. For our very first overlanding trip, we used an old ground tent that was out in the garage just collecting dust from decades ago. And we bought an air mattress that's camping oriented. So this air mattress is 6 inches thick, and it's pretty cushy when you have it properly inflated. But it only has an R value of 2.6. If you're not familiar with R value, it's basically a rating for how well an insulating material resists heat flow. The higher the number, the better. So that's the backstory to the thing that was least enjoyable for her. So we're using like a summer season kind of sleeping bag, and we're both wusses when it comes to what we think is chilly weather. It gets down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit that night, and we both wake up like at 5 a.m. just feeling cold, and there's condensation all up in the tent. I know. All you guys who live in actual cold weather are like shaking your heads or rolling your eyes, but we're weather spoiled, okay? What can I say? Anyways, that was her very, very first time camping ever in her entire life, and it'd been over a decade for me. So what'd you think of that first trip, that first night?
It was, if I remember right, it was so cold. I felt like I was sleeping on the bare ground.
Yeah. The dogs too, right?
Yeah.
They're like right next to us, but they were like on the bottom of the tent, like the tarp.
Yeah, they were really cold, especially my little dog. Yeah,
the little one was like shivering and freezing, and even her, and she runs hot like all the time, which is crazy. So yeah, not the most comfortable evening for her first experience, that's for sure. We also underinflated the mattress that night, so that didn't help either. So what was the lesson learned in all that? Well, I either need to figure out a heating solution, like a diesel heater that doesn't produce any moisture, or just don't take her to places that are gonna be chilly and stick to the warmer months. Many lessons learned on that first trip though. But there was one thing I kinda got right on that first trip, which is gonna be the most awkward topic that we're gonna cover today.
Number 1 and 2.
I ordered one of those collapsible privacy tents for, doing your dirty business, and that worked out pretty well. For us guys, think about it. It's super easy for us just to take a short walk off into the woods and water the plants, but women don't really get to do that. I'm sure there are some dudes out there who don't mind hanging their bare bottom out for everyone to see while they're dropping off the kids, but
oh, that's nasty.
I believe in a little more decorum than that, and I think most of you guys out there do too. So imagine having to hang your bare bottom out every time you need to just water the plants. So let's empathize with the ladies and ask them some awkward questions around that topic, because I guarantee you that they're thinking about that. Let me show you guys what we're currently using for doing the dirty business. Don't worry, I'm not going to demonstrate. This is a DFG Offroad privacy enclosure, and it's hard mounted to the side of my Go Fast Camper rooftop tent. It deploys pretty easily and quickly. It just has 2 arms that fold out, and then you're completely enclosed by 4 walls. It has a zipper for access on the outside, and it's got a zipper on the inside too for accessing the vehicle's door. It even comes with an LED light strip. We use it for anything where you need privacy, like going to the bathroom, changing, and eventually when I get a hot shower set up, showering as well. For a toilet, we're just using a Reliance Products Luggable loo, which is that gray bucket you see with the red rope handle, and it's really just a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat and cover on top of it. It's really simple and easy to use. You just pop a bag in it and you're good to go. We also keep some poo powder and some sanitary wipes inside that privacy enclosure as well. And for toilet paper, we just hang it from some paracord. That's just what we use though, and it may or may not work for you. Thankfully, there are a ton of options when it comes to portable toilets nowadays. And what you use is really just a matter of your tolerance with the aftermath of going potty. This portable toilet by Cleanwaste uses bags that get sealed up in like a heavy-duty Ziploc bag that prevents any spills and odors. This cassette toilet by Dometic flushes, and it keeps all that funk inside of the tank at the bottom that you can empty out. And this crazy thing is a Japanese toilet called a Wrappon that hermetically seals your stuff in an odor-proof bag at the push of a button. I wish I could get one of those to follow around my dogs automatically. But yeah, there's bound to be an option that's okay for the both of you. All right, let's get back to what other things we've improved upon since that first overlanding trip. Neither of us like ground tents because it just feels dirtier to us being on the ground, and that prompted us to get a rooftop tent. But as you may have seen in the what I love and what I hate about my overlanding gear video, that original mattress that our rooftop tent came with
It was terrible.
terrible. That's facts. Check out what I said in the last video real quick. To say that the stock 2-inch mattress is uncomfortable is kind of like saying getting a prostate exam is uncomfortable. On that very first trip my wife and I ever took with the GFC, we woke up in the morning crying for the chiropractor with backs stiffer than DOM steel tube rock sliders. My name is Roger and I approve that message. We ditched that stock mattress that it came with and we switched to an Exped Megamat Duo, which has a pretty high R value of 8.1 and is way more comfortable overall. If you're not familiar with this style of hybrid air and foam mattress, it's much better than just air alone. On a related note, Emma doesn't like the constrictive feeling of a sleeping bag, so we just unzip our 2-person bag and it separates into 2 completely separate pieces and we just use those as comforters. So how's that been in comparison to like that sleeping bag feeling?
It has been a lot better.
Okay, good. To keep the interior of the rooftop tent relatively clean, we both said no to bringing shoes up in there. So we got this shoe bag thingy by Thule and it just hangs off the ladder as you can see here, and it's kept our shoes bone dry even in really heavy rain. And earlier, I briefly talked about condensation, which really happens in any kind of tent.
Did you know that the average human can lose like 1/3 of a cup of water sleeping at night?
I did know that, but thanks, Bear. How much water do you lose when you're hibernating?
That's a pretty personal question, dude.
Oh, okay, my bad. That amount fluctuates based on air temperature and humidity, but either way, that's not a small amount of water when you're talking about the space the size of your average 2-person tent. And multiply that by 2 for 2 people, right? On top of the condensation you're already getting. So something that helps a lot with that are these desiccant packs. And do they work? Well, check that out. That's quite a bit of water in there, right? And another thing that helps is a small portable fan. So just one of these tiny little guys that takes up really no room will help you circulate air in your tent. And less condensation in your tent is less of that cold, clammy feeling. Ooh.
That's nasty.
A tasty hot meal is an instant morale booster, and it's kind of like a good foundation for any social setting. Well, for some it's alcohol, but I don't think anybody ever says, nah, I'm good, I don't eat. A nice meal with
perspective
can take you from this to this. Tasty is subjective, yes, but I'm confident all of you guys out there know what your significant other likes to eat. And if you know how to cook, great. Plan to make her some meals that she likes to eat while you're at camp. And if you don't know how to cook, well, just take the time to learn a couple of the dishes that she likes. You don't have to be a Thomas Keller or a Gordon Ramsay or whatever. I'm sure she'll just appreciate you taking the time to learn a couple of her favorite dishes. So that kind of covers your basic life necessities, right? Eating, sleeping, and going potty. Well, there's one more necessity related topic that we kind of just scrape by on, which is we've just been using body wipes to freshen up, but a hot shower system would be ideal. There are a ton of options when it comes to portable hot showers for camping nowadays. I just haven't settled on one. You have simple gravity bags that you just hang somewhere, or you've got hard-mounted containers that are pressurized that rely on the sun to heat the water. And then you have really complicated heat exchange systems that are on board your vehicle. And these propane-powered water heaters are getting pretty popular nowadays. So for now, on those longer trips, we just deal with the body wipes for a few days, and then we spend the night at a paid campsite with shower facilities. Eventually though, I really need to settle on a hot shower system just so that we can stay out in the backcountry for longer periods of time. Do you guys have a hot shower system you've been using that you love? Leave a comment for me down below and let me know which one that is. One thing that I think everyone hates is
telemarketers.
Well, yeah, that and sure, everybody uses some kind of insect repellent spray on their body already, but there are a couple more things that you can do to help control mosquitoes around the campsite. And one of those is these Thermacell units. This one's called the Backpacker's Mosquito Repeller, and these use isobutane canisters. If you don't normally carry these when you're camping, they make a USB rechargeable version nowadays too. And how this works is the isobutane ignites a tiny little flame. I don't think you can see that on camera, but it's because it's so small. And that activates this blue map on top, which releases the scent that mosquitoes don't like. And we use 2 of these at our campsite, and it does a pretty good job of keeping mosquitoes away from the immediate area. And if it's a little bit breezy, we just put them upwind from us, and it typically works. So those have been pretty good for us. And we also use this tiny little sorta bug zapper. I'm calling it a sorta bug zapper because it doesn't actually make like that zapping noise that you normally get from your big home bug zapper units, but it works well enough and it has enough oomph that it keeps the tent clear of mosquitoes and other tiny insects. And what I do with it is about an hour before bedtime, I'll put it up in the tent, turn it on, hang it there, and just kind of let it do its thing. And like I said, it does a good job of keeping the tent clear of any mosquitoes and other small flying insects. One last thing for mosquitoes: head cover mesh. These do a phenomenal job of keeping mosquitoes off your face and your neck. The one annoying thing though is that it keeps touching your eyelids and your nose and your mouth. But if you're accustomed to wearing a hat like I usually do when I'm camping, then use the brim of the hat to keep that mesh from touching your face. All right, that's it for ideas that cost you money. Now let's talk about some things that will literally cost you nothing.
Cause the best things in life are free.
Emma has an extremely efficient morning routine, but not all people do. I know guys that take longer to get ready than her.
You do recall it?
No, I don't recall that at all.
If your significant other needs a little extra time in the morning to get ready, well, have yourself another cup of coffee and slow down. Take in the view. Overlanding isn't a sprint. Hell, it's not even a marathon. Just enjoy the journey.
Or if your significant other hates getting to camp after dark and just needs time to chill in the afternoon after a long day, well, plan to get to camp earlier in the day. I know that occasionally things will happen and you can't really accomplish that, but most of the time you can if you plan ahead. I often need to remind myself to just slow down and have time to chill and relax instead of that go, go, go pace all the time. Let's go, go, go. I've had 5 cups of coffee this morning. What time is it? It's adventure time. No one likes that guy. Here's a tricky one, but one that I think is super important. Don't just assume that she doesn't want anything to do with the overlanding tasks. Ask her. Involve her in the process. Maybe she wants to learn how to do some of that stuff. Here's a good example. Emma does half the driving on her trips because she gets a little car sick sometimes when she's the passenger. So she'll even do half the driving on off-road trails.
Really good job.
She picks up new skills and new knowledge on every single trip that we take, and I'm confident that she can set up camp all by herself now if needed. A lot of the time, your significant other wants to contribute and learn more. And I'm gonna call myself out on this next tip, but if you're gonna teach her something, don't be a drill sergeant, be a mentor. So less,
What is your major malfunction?
and more.
Oh, that was your best service. Yes, excellent, yes. What do you mean?
And lastly, Emma hates being on the highway for more than about 8 hours or so a day. And I don't really enjoy it either. So when I'm planning trips out, particularly the ones that she's gonna be joining me on, I try to limit our driving to 8 hours or less per day.
That is, unless, of course.
So there you have it. And if you do some of these things or all of these things, I'm sure you're much more likely to create a positive experience for your significant other. One that hopefully ignites the same love of overlanding that you have. Please hit that subscribe button down there if you haven't already. Give us that thumbs up and please share this video with somebody. Oh, thanks. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you'll join us for the next one. Always remember, destinations don't matter, the journey matters. This is Roger.
And Emma.
Over and out.